Good morning, everyone. Coffee, hold on. Cheers.
Cheers, Milo. Cheers.
Okay, I wanted to talk about how we have been teaching Milo, who's now just about 13 months, sign language. I've shared a bit about this on my Instagram story, and it's kind of just too bulky of a topic for me to talk about in short form. Up front, I just want to share that if you have not yet implemented this with your children, it's something that you can start at any time. So we tried to start this as soon as possible when Milo was a baby, an infant, but children are so adaptable and they can learn this really at any time. Also, I myself don't speak ASL, American Sign Language. I did learn it for a Refinery 29 video back in the day, and at one point I kind of knew how to like spell things in it, but the signs that we use with Milo I completely learned once we had him, and I actually learned them in a bunch of different baby books. Milo's just about 13 months. The words he's saying right now include mama, dada, ball, cat. Randomly he says bat. We taught him that on Halloween. He's starting to say the names of some of our family members. So for my sister Allie, he says ah.
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 Yeah.
Did you say ah?
That's my name.
Say it again.
Ah.
For my dad, who's going by Poppy, he says Pop Pop. My mother-in-law is Nona, he says Nona. He's starting to say Dee, which is the name for my mom, and Grandpa for Michael's dad, he kind of says like Grandpa. He does this interesting thing where he puts the word a in front of things. So like instead of just saying bat, he says a bat. And instead of truck, he says and he says that for car too.
Cheers, Milo.
The point of having signs with your baby is that at this age, a lot of times they can understand what you are saying and they want to communicate with you, but their brain just like can't figure out how to say the words yet. Like their brain-mouth connection is not quite there yet. They do know what they want. They know when they want milk. They know when they want to go to sleep. They know when they want water, but they just cannot get the words out. So having these signs is a really great way to let them communicate their needs to you so that they're not just fussing and kind of moaning and they think they're saying something, but they're not actually communicating it to you. When Milo turned about 4 or 5 months, that was when we introduced solid food and we started giving him different purees. From the day that we gave him his first bite, as I would continue to give him more, I would always say, do you want more? And I would put my hands together like this. And I would always contrast it with, do you want more or are you all done? Every time I'd give him another bite, I would say, more, you want more. And then I would give him more. And at the end of the meal, just before I would take the plate away, I would say, okay, we're all done, and then take that away. It probably took 5 or 6 months of me doing that regularly. I wouldn't say he started doing the more sign until maybe 9 or 10 months, but I just did it on repeat and I taught it to all of our family members. And so anytime he was eating and we were giving him more food, we would pair the action of giving him more food with the hand sign for this and the word more. We use it with more than just giving food. So if we were in the bath and we were splashing and he was having fun, I would say, do you want more? And then we would do it again. And he's kind of was getting the gist that it meant like an extra serving of something. I remember that for the longest time, he knew what I was saying when I said more, and he would kind of like flail around, which I think was his way of saying, yes, I want more. But he was not actually doing this with his hands until maybe 9 or 10 months. And now at 13 months, he very clearly can be eating and then he'll go like this if he wants more. And for all done, he doesn't quite do it exactly the way we do it, but he kind of just goes like this with his hands. And I think especially at the end of the day, that's his way of, he knows he's gonna get a bath, so he starts going like this because he's really excited to go in the bath. Some other signs that we taught Milo, milk. This is a big one. Probably at around 6 months, we implemented this, and every time it was time for milk, I would say milk. And I would just say the word with the hand motion. This got a lot easier when I stopped nursing around 9 months and we were giving him bottles, because every time we take the bottle out, I would say milk, milk. Very clearly, probably a couple months after we started using the sign, Milo would let us know when he wanted milk, and he would be playing and he would just do milk, milk. We actually have him on a feeding, milk, and meal schedule now, so he sometimes asks for milk in the middle of playtime or before a nap when it's not actually time for him to have milk. So when he says that, I acknowledge that he's asking for milk, but I usually say like, not right now, we're gonna have milk later. But sometimes I'll ask, do you want water? And so this is the sign for water. I think it's like a W, 3 fingers, tapping at your chin. I think one of the best things about these signs is that when I'm at a place with Milo, like for example, if we go to a class together and he's across the room from me and there's a lot going on, like a lot of overstimulation in the room, he can look back at me and he can just do a sign. He doesn't quite do this with the 3 fingers, but he kind of goes like this for water, and I know what he's asking for. We could be at a class and he'll do the sign and I'll say, oh, you want milk? And I'll give it to him, and it just cuts out the need for him to be fussy where he's trying to tell me something that I cannot understand. So we do milk, we do water. It's really helpful at the table because we often don't keep his cup right on his tray because he throws it overboard. So I'll sometimes keep the milk with me and he'll be eating his food and then he'll just go like this and I'll say, okay, you want milk? And I'll give it to him. And it really cuts out a lot of the fussiness throughout mealtime. One thing that we're working on now is please. We didn't introduce that from the beginning. If you're starting from scratch, I would maybe from the very beginning start doing, you know, more please, milk please, water please. That's a good habit to get into, that you're just like training them to say that polite word after things. Some other signs that we'll use are play, where you just kind of go like this, and then sleep. I think it's like this, like pulling the comforter over your head. We sometimes do like sleep, or we sometimes go like sleep, and we just mimic the actual head on a pillow action. As long as your child and you are on the same page with the signs you're giving, it doesn't really matter if you're doing the sign properly. You're actually just using signs and symbols that help you communicate with your child the most effectively. We don't use the signs for mom and dad, but you can Google what those signs are. We just always kind of said mama and dada and pointed to ourselves, and now he uses our names, so we don't need to use those signs. Same thing with yes and no. Very early on, we taught Milo yes, and we would nod our head, or we'd say no and shake our head. I think the signs are like yes, and then, I don't know, no is like this. We just actually use our heads for it. Very, very young, whenever he would hear someone say the word yes, he would just kind of go like this, you know, put his whole head into it. And then only more recently, he started saying no. So if we're doing something that he doesn't want us to do, he'll just say like, no, 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 no.
No, no.
Milo, you want to come out?
No, no.
You sure?
No.
And you can tell he doesn't want it to happen, and he also shakes his head with it. We've taught him the sign eat, or food. And so we just kind of take our hands and put it to our mouth, and we'll say, do you want to eat? Or sometimes I'll rub my stomach. I'll be like, are you hungry? And pair it with eating. So I'll say, are you hungry? Do you want to eat? I feel like I'm talking to a baby. Honestly, these are really the words that we use every day with him. Are you hungry? Do you want to eat? Yes. No. Okay. Do you want more? Are you all done? Do you want water? Do you want milk? These are the things that we need to say to him all day. You know, we're not asking him, did he file the taxes? Other signs that we use, I think this is help. And so if he's trying to do something and he needs help, we'll just do the hand symbol with it. He's actually never used this one with us, but maybe one day he'll tell us that he needs help. And then one that we taught him more recently that I actually was more aware as I was teaching him this one, and I actually saw him learn it, which was really cool, is book. And so, you know, we've been reading him a lot of books since he was born, and only recently I started doing the sign book and saying it whenever it's time to read. It's so cute now. At the dinner table sometimes he'll be finishing up his meal and he'll go like this, and at first we thought he was clapping because he claps when you say clap, but he was clearly doing it a little slower and a little bit wider. Now it's just so fascinating because he can tell us that he wants to read a book. And if he does this and we say, book, do you want to read a book? He's like, like a dog, so excited. It's so rewarding to be able to understand what he's saying. You know, it's very rare that at his age, he's able to form all of these words and say these words. You know, it's normal for a 1-year-old to only have a few words in their arsenal, but to be able to sign the rest of the words just opens up a whole world of connection that you can have with your child that allows you to really understand their needs and communicate with them so much easier. He does a lot of pointing and going, like you clearly know he's trying to say something. He's pointing at something and his brain cannot say the word, so he's just going, but now instead of just pointing and grunting, he could go like this, and we know he wants a book, and we can, you know, entertain that for him. There are a ton of other signs that we're starting to incorporate. Whenever he is going to the bathroom, I'll use this sign for poop, and I'll be like, poop? Oh, are you pooping? Hoping that one kind of comes back around in the future when we're trying to potty train him. I think the sign language is helpful not only for babies in being able to communicate their needs, but it really helps decrease frustration from a parental level, because it can be really frustrating to hear your baby grunting or fussing or crying, and you just just don't know what they need. And as babies develop language, as they start to understand words you're saying more, and as you have signs and symbols and ways to communicate with each other that mean yes or no, or explicitly tell each other what you're going for, it is just way smoother in the household, and this is something I highly recommend everyone do. Let me know if this video is helpful. Let me know if there are any other signs that you have used with babies that you feel like really change things for the better. I would love to incorporate new ones, and I hope everyone has a great day.